Welcome, everybody, to our Asian American Pacific Islanders Heritage Month panel. We are here today with three players who are internationally renowned for playing the sport of hockey. And it just so happens they all are women, too, not anything that we consider to be out of the ordinary any more than Cammi Granato, one of our panelists, being a pro scout here for us here at the Kraken. So welcome, everybody, Julie, Cammi, and Tamae. And we're going to get started with me talking a tiny bit about each of you, and then we will just have a conversation. And the idea today, I think, is to talk about Asians in hockey. I think happily, it's also to talk about women's hockey. And certainly the idea of just how do we grow the game. We'll start with Tamae Satsu, who was a goalie for the Japanese Olympic team, was on that roster in 1998 when Nagano hosted the games. I think Cammi Granato might be able to talk a little bit about those particular Olympics. I'm pretty sure she played in them and starred in them and won a gold medal in them, so we'll get to that. Tamae also is a very well-known and respected interior designer here in Seattle. Moved here, has really found the niche, especially, and this is way above my abilities, but aerospace and aircraft interior design, and I think that's fascinating and obviously quite fitting for a town with the aeronautical industry we have here in Seattle. Tamae played against Cammi. We're going to hear a little bit about that story. And also, she is one of those 32,000 wonderful, precious human beings who were depositors in the first 24 hours of our ticket sales, or I should say deposits, to prove to the NHL that we could get 10,000 depositors in 6 months. We did 10,000 in 12 minutes, and then of course had to, after 24 hours, had to cut it at 32,000. Cammi Granato, 2010 Hall of Fame, first woman in the Hockey Hall of Fame. I've talked about the gold medals. The first time Cammi and I talked in person, or over the phone at least, I said this will be the first and last time I ask and talk about what's it feel like to be the first female pro scout in the NHL. I consider it to be something that we need to make a norm and have that increase. And I think we all know some of that's already happening. And Cammi's been hard at work. We're not going to be able to get any expansion draft questions out of her, but we can try. But in any case, Cammi's welcome to the panel, and we finished with Julie Chu, the most decorated American women's hockey player, 5 golds at international world championships, 4 Olympics, went on to play pro, and now is coaching in college, or maybe a little bit of a hiatus right now, but we can talk about that as well. But it's great to welcome all of you, and thanks for doing this. I'd like to start with Julie and just ask you, Julie, your first hockey memory, or just what got you into the sport, or what captivated you to get to play the game?
Yeah, I think for me, I came from a really untraditional hockey background because my dad was born in China, met my mom in New York City, and neither of them knew anything about hockey, minus the New York Rangers or maybe public skating in Central Park. So we didn't have a rich history within our family, or even a lot of knowledge. So I was lucky to fall into hockey because of my brother. And I was always kind of in awe of what he got to do. And eventually, while I was figure skating, it only lasted 2 months, I asked my brother, or asked my parents, if I can play hockey also. And they made the best decision of my life then, and they said yes. And it was at a time where girls didn't play hockey, Asian girls didn't play hockey. But my parents were always about opening doors, and I was always really appreciative of that. So stinky old hockey equipment was one of the first things I had, and I absolutely loved it. So I'm pretty sure I knew I was stuck at that point.
I'm pretty sure also that Cammi, you know something about brothers and hockey. Your first hockey memory.
I always remember hockey being a part of my life. I never remember my life without it. I think from a very young age, the Blackhawks, growing up in Chicago, 3 older brothers, six of us kids. Me being the fifth of six, being able to chase around my big brothers and then watch the Chicago Blackhawks. I just had a love for the game from the start. My parents put me in figure skates, much like Julie's parents did. It lasted one spring. I think it was a spring session. But what I would do is I would actually walk off the skating rink when my mom wasn't looking. I don't remember this. She tells me I was like 4 or 5, and I would go watch the hockey, and she'd catch me in the hockey rink and go, "Cammi, what are you doing? You got to go do your lessons." And I would point to the arena and go, "I want to play hockey." And thankfully, in that time where there were no women playing, my parents had that discussion and decided, why not? Let's let her try it. Probably won't last very long. And, from that point on, I was never going to quit.
I'm happy to report we put in the first 4 seats into the Climate Pledge Arena, into the new arena. And the couple sitting in those seats, therefore, have a young daughter, 2-year-old. And she was on camera with us and installing the seats. And the mom, God bless her, said, well, we think she'll probably be a hockey player someday. She's already got the mini stick and the ball. So she may skip that whole figure skating step altogether, although we all know some power skating would be good. Tamae, before we get on to other topics, how about your first memory? It wasn't the fans drinking sake at your local arena, but I know that's one you have.
Actually, people don't believe that I grew up in a hockey town, and Slapshot. So we have a 2 semi-professional hockey team in my town, and so people going to watching hockey game after maybe people 3 shift and workers. And actually one of my uncle, he took me to the hockey game, and so we grabbed something to eat, but he grabbed sake cup with a hot sake, selling hot sake in arena. And so we went to watch the hockey, and the people get excited, and the people throw away the sake cup on the hockey rink. My hockey memory is, remember the first impression was, wow, people is getting drunk, and referee clean up the ice. And then after that, the people started play hockey, and it was really, fast and really swimming on the ice, the players. And so that was my impression, and I wanted to play. I was 8 years old. My mother is actually a single mother, and she owned a beauty salon, and she couldn't take my hockey practice. But the city decided to make women's hockey team in my town, and because everybody loves hockey, so that was lucky. And nobody played goalie, and Tamae, would you like to play goalie? Yes, I would like to play. That's why I started since then. So
that's awesome. What was the name of that town again? I know you told me.
It's named Tomakomai City. Tomakomai is in northern Japan. It's like Canada. It's a northern island, actually close to Russia, but the 2 big hockey town in my island. So it's Kushiro and Tomakomai City. So
you have some cold weather in northern Japan, and I don't know that people thought that until maybe the '98 Olympics, which Tamae, you got to be part of the host country. What was that like for you to be part of the team when your country was hosting the Olympics?
I was actually candidate in the Olympic Games, and I was joined for training camp. And that was very, people so excited about to hockey and the Winter Olympics in my country. So that's why we're hosting country. That's why we have eligible to play for Olympics as women's hockey team. So that time, it's the first time women's Olympic Games. So, and of course I saw Cammi, I saw you, I watched you, and it was, fascinating to watch what women could play hockey at high level. So that is inspired for all our countries, not only hockey player, and the women play any sports.
So I'm going to come back to you in a second, Tamae, to ask you about playing against Cammi in person in a real game, But Cammi, I know you probably have talked about the 98 games a lot, but just what comes to mind, or when you first talked to one of your kids about it, what's sort of a highlight for you?
Well, it's funny because I'm mostly asked about winning and what it felt like to win. And so that story I've been telling since the moment we won, over and over, and it never, ever gets old to tell it. To actually achieve something at the highest level, put all the work in and get rewarded for it, to win something that you dreamed of your whole life, or emulated in your basement with your brothers. It's really tough to put into words, but it was quite amazing. And then just the weight of the medal itself and the way it felt, and then looking at my parents and seeing everybody crying, it was an amazing moment. But I never really get to talk about Japan and how amazing Japan was as a host. And I think that should be highlighted. It's a perfect time to highlight it. Everybody just with open arms was so gracious to all of us. Everyone in the Olympic Village, every time we went out, we were greeted by just people on the streets that wanted to look at our Olympic jackets or just touch the jacket, or we went out with our medals after, and we were swarmed by people that were just excited. I remember playing Team Japan, our first exhibition. And the one thing that stood out is we were winning by quite a large margin. And the one thing that really stood out to me was the determination. So Japan played from the start to the finish the same way, tenacious and never quit. And typically when you're beating a team by a lot of goals, the morale gets down. I never saw the morale get down. I had tons of respect for the Japanese team, and it was a pleasure to play against them. And it was my memories of Japan. I keep saying to my kids, we've got to go back to Nagano. I want to go back because I just felt I have such amazing memories of not just the experience with the gold medal and the Olympics, but the whole cultural. We didn't get to walk around a lot, but when we did walk around, I realized what an amazing city it was.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
That's good too. Yeah.
So Cammi, I know once in a while down in that basement, you probably got ran over by one of your brothers. Not always on purpose, maybe, who knows, once in a while. But Tamae, you have a story about playing goal, and Cammi, I'm sure accidentally
Oops.
ran you over.
I'm a very honored to be on with you on the ice, first of all. And that was, I play Pacific Rim tournament in San Jose, California. And I was against you. And so that was, I was, of course, very nervous. And also, shots on goal is like a 100, something like that. I remember. And so you try to score me. And no, this is, I'm so pleasure to, Cammi towards me, and she scored me. And I'm so excited. But actually, the stick hit my head.
Oh no!
And then, and after, like something like a music, like a very noisy things happening, and then after, why so wet my ear? And then my teammate said, "Oh, Tamae, that's something to bleeding because my pierce. I shouldn't wear the pierce." But
Right.
So after that, I saw that something to red stuff was coming from my ear. So, but that was I had a memory. I was talking to Sylvia about it.
So that was my stick that hit you?
Yeah. Yes. No, I mean, I'm totally very honored to be. I don't keep that pierce anyway. But I'm so honored to play with you.
So Julie, Olympic memories for you, what stands out?
Getting a chance to play, that's definitely something that's incredible. The 2002 Olympics in particular, the first experience, getting a chance to walk into Olympic Stadium after waiting for a long time. And that's something I didn't realize, is you actually get dressed in your whole opening ceremonies outfit. We left at 3:00 and it was in Salt Lake City. And we were just in a waiting cell with all the US athletes. So we can kind of meet President Bush at the time and different people. And then from there, you went to the all nations waiting cell. And it wasn't until I want to say 9 p.m. that we actually walked through. And it was like, oh, just around the corner. Are we there? Just around the corner, like a little kid on Christmas night. And finally the stadium opened up and we walked out, and I was like, I'm getting goosebumps now, and it's been a while. 2002 was a while ago, but just remember being so humbled by it, because I never really imagined going to Olympics, because I didn't really know hockey to that next extent. When I started, there wasn't women's hockey at that level yet, and so it was really about just making my local boys team. But so why I think that 98, and it's so fitting and such an honor for me to be here with Tamae and with Cammi, is that was the Olympics that really launched women's hockey. I hands down say that was one of the most important times in women's hockey, because without that, and without women's hockey being visible, I couldn't dream of going to the Olympics. And the young girls that are there now couldn't dream and have the resources. So I think, yes, obviously it's great to watch Cammi, and she was an idol of mine and still is. And I love her to death. And so to watch her celebrate in our US team, the gold medal, but all of the athletes that participated that games, those were the pioneers. So Tamae and Cammi, I owe everything to you, and hopefully my daughters, if they want to, they owe a lot to all of you as well.
Fast forward 20, your first one's in 02, you go to 2014, and you're actually carrying the flag for the United States in the closing ceremonies. I'm getting emotional, and I wasn't there, and I just met you about 20 minutes ago. That must have been amazing.
Yeah, so that's another thing you can never dream of, because I don't think you actually dream of saying, "Oh, I'm going to be the flag bearer." We're just hoping to make the Olympic team and then earn an opportunity to win a gold medal. So it wasn't even in the realm of possibilities for me. And what the cool way, though, of choosing the closing ceremony flag bearer for the U.S. is that the other teams, actually all the athletes, vote on who carries the closing ceremony flag. So I think to be honored by my other Team USA athletes, to walk into the stadium and represent our country in that way was really special. But I remember when I found out, I was in an interview, it was the day after we had just lost in the gold medal game. So we weren't feeling great at that point. And I was with three of my close teammates, and we were in the interview, and someone came behind the interviewer's ears and whispered something. And at that point, you're kind of like, this could be good or really, really bad, right? Like, what's coming at us? And they said it, and I couldn't even talk. I like to talk a lot. Cammi knows this, but I was like,
Yeah.
Exactly that, because it was pretty special. And for me, I was blessed to be on the national team for 14 years, go to 4 Olympic Games, and I wouldn't trade a day for it. And I know that for me, it's shaped me who I am, and hopefully I can give back to others in the same way that Cammi, Tamae, we just met, but you gave to me by being a part of it, but that others have given to me in my life.
So that's a great segue to talk a little bit about, it is Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month, and to talk a little bit about Asians, both the growth in Asia and here in North America. And I think we should feel free to also talk about moments that maybe weren't so positive, or some of the adversities. For you, Julie, was there anything when you were playing, besides maybe noticing that you were the only Asian face on some of your teams?
Yeah. And, for me, I was really blessed that I actually grew up in a really great environment. The team that I was a part of, all the boys on the team, because I was the only girl, and only Asian American girl, they treated me like another teammate, and the coaches did as well, and the parents. So I think that actually sheltered me in a lot of ways, because those that are around us, especially when you're 8 years old and you're just learning it to come into a sport and you just want to have fun. I was kind of this like happy-go-lucky, naive kid, and just cared about the people around me. So those individuals, they really did a great job of treating me kindly and making me feel a part of the team so I could grow and love hockey. Where I actually felt it was from other teams and sometimes from the kids, but those kids are more making, like comments where they'll sneeze because my last name's Chu, like, Hachu! Right. So they're kind of like little comments like that, or kind of, oh, girls play hockey, and are kind of more curious. But it was the parents that, for me, really made me step back. And I remember there was a coach once, I was a peewee, so 12 years old. And the coach came into our locker room at that point, was looking for our coach to do the starting lineup. And he looked at me, and I'm sitting with all my other teammates, and he goes, "Oh, you have a girl on your team." He goes, "Well, good luck with that." And he just walked out. And I remember, like, we're all 12 and all the 12-year-old boys on our team, like, hey, what are you talking about? And they wanted to stand up for me. But that was the moment where I realized us as adults and us as parents and coaches, we play a huge role in the way that our younger generation treats one another. And I think if you look at young kids, and I have two really small kids now, under 4 years old, when we see them at the playground, they show us what we actually should be like in the way we treat each other. Do they still steal each other's shovels? Yes. But they don't see our differences as a problem. They go and they play and they negotiate and they have fun and they make friends really easily. And I think that that's where our role can be in pushing Asians into hockey more, or making it more accessible, and really opening our eyes to possibility as a community. What can we do as leaders to make the next generation and the current generation feel welcomed and feel like they're a part of it and valued, and a valued part of it?
There are so many wonderful things you just said, and I'm not going to bullet point them all, but I so agree that, you know, kids can show the way, and parents can understand and be of their kids versus the sorts of things that happen there. And Tamae, I'm going to ask you the question in a minute, but I actually wanted to flip to you, Cammi. We have a vice president here of one of our team VPs, Mari Harita, is working on a campaign that is for this month called Our Stories Are Your Stories. And I think the parallel here is, Cammi, you felt some of that same feeling of being the only girl on a team, and had an incident or two where other coaches were just downright indecent, right, toward you, and had that, you know, teammate support. So Cammi, you care to talk a little bit about your own experience that might parallel a little bit what Julie went through?
Yeah, I played at a time in Illinois, from the Chicago area, where there were just no girls that had played ahead of me. There were no girls in our association. There were no girls against any of the teams we played in the state that we knew of. So it wasn't, we went against the norm, and it wasn't such a big deal when I was little. No one really noticed until maybe 10, 11, 12 years old. And I would tuck my hair underneath my helmet when it was longer, but mostly I just wanted to keep it short because I wanted to be like my brothers. But I never really got too much flack except from the parents, to be honest. I got a little bit of flack on the ice from the guys. And there were some times where they would take, you know, maybe try to hit me harder when we were checking and that kind of thing. But it was the parents and it was the coaches. I had threats, and I didn't really see them that as threats when I was little, but as I've grown older, I'm like, they legitly were threatening me. So there were a couple times where one of the coaches on one of the teams we were playing told our coach that, well, there was a rumor spreading that they were going to separate my collarbone if I was going to play. They're going to hit me and they're going to break my shoulder, and she shouldn't be playing. And he sat me down and was like, do you want to play? And I'm like, I'm playing. I looked at my parents and I was like, I'm not missing this game. Like, this is one of our biggest games. It's a really competitive team and we want to beat them. Mm-hmm. And so my parents felt it was okay. They had me in the middle. My coach put me with two bigger players to make sure. He's like, keep your head up in the corners. And we played and we won. We beat them. And I actually scored one of the goals, which kind of made it sweeter. But those were the things. I had another incident where one of the boys was told by his parent to hit me in a tournament. I did get a concussion and missed the whole tournament. The boy did apologize after and tell me he was sorry that his dad made him do it. And it was like this whole strange thing that I did not know how to process at that age. And then the one that was kind of fun I think just proves that I had the support system around me, that I had my cousin on my team. We were in Minnesota. We were playing a really big team, really big guys, big physical team. And it was a very big tournament that we wanted to win. And my coach heard the other coach say that I want you to hit the girl on the first shift. Like, let her know she shouldn't be in this game. She's number 21. So our coach comes in the locker room and he says to my cousin, Bobby, you're going to wear Cammi's jersey today. You're the girl. You're number 21. And he took a situation that could have been bad and made it good. And I felt that support. And Bobby wasn't a very pretty girl, but it worked. And, it was one of those things where I felt at the time, it's no big deal. I want to play. No one's going to stop me. But when I look at it as the parents, it's exactly what you were saying, Julie. Like, the parents were the ones who actually made it more of a big deal. But I was lucky enough to have a good support system. But I did know what it felt like to always be in the spotlight for the wrong reasons. Like, I don't mind like scoring a goal and people are clapping, you're all excited, but like being the only girl and having to prove yourself all the time, I started to notice that later in my career. And it's just what you had to deal with if you wanted to play at that time. And now I realize it's wrong. At the time, I didn't really understand it.
No, thank you. I think for all of us in the last 16, 18 months, I think the message I hear over and over is allyship, right? And sometimes that allyship is mostly and can be really powerful when other people have similar experiences for whatever reason. And I know, Tamae, we've talked about this, but you had a experience, or you and your teammates had an experience playing a game in Ottawa, I think it was, in an international competition.
Yes, so I played the first IHF Women's World Championship in Ottawa. So that was my first time international Team Japan experience. And I was on the elevator, and other country, that's European country players, and they say to me, and Jap, and I don't know what that means, and because I couldn't speak English, and so what is a Japanese? And I was asking our translator, who say that Jap? Oh, that Chin people say that. Oh, so I learned about some color skin discrimination, because Japan is only Japanese people live in Japan. So sometimes we see Caucasian people, occasionally, but almost never. So that was my first time experience. And I grew up in hockey, but all Japanese people. And also we're island. We didn't have a chance to play other countries. So and also I moved here in United States almost 20 years ago, after I was in Nagano Olympic Games here. And I started playing hockey 2 days after, and also people so welcome to me, even I couldn't speak English. And also to me, hockey is some other language to me, because seriously, I couldn't speak English. And hockey made me of course stronger person as well. And but so that is, to me, when I moved here, I never felt is because I'm Asian and something to people denied myself to the play. So that's my experience in here.
Thank you for each of you sharing, and it's I think it's eye-opening, and more importantly, we as a team, both the Kraken and Climate Pledge Arena, we believe in inclusion and diversity, and showing it more than talking about it in terms of the staff we hire, and especially the things. I say this all the time. When the hockey team starts playing, we're going to still be covering the community and be of the community. It's really important to me as the editor-in-chief here, and something that I hope and expect that our staff, all the way through, will keep living that particular belief system. So I think I'd love to switch over and ask growth of the game among Asian players, and it's sort of an awkward question, because it's not like that's all that unusual anymore. But is there anything that you think unlocks that?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things, and we're hearing it a lot, is visibility. I think that's a huge reason that anyone gets inspired to be a part of something. If they've never been introduced to it from their family environments or from friends that play hockey or do whatever it might be, they get it if they're able to see it on TV, if they're able to hear stories. And so this is a great step, having conversations about it so that it could be more visible, so that we can tell stories of Tamae, of Cammi, of what we're all going through. So I do think that the more we cover it, the more our stories are there and are read and seen, and pictures and videos and all those things are accessible. That's going to be a huge, I think, influencer in regards to women's sports, but then also bringing more Asians into hockey in particular, because although there are many more in it, it's still a small minority. And that's where hockey is, where a male-dominated white sport at this time, and we're making efforts to grow. We still found a place within hockey, even if we were part of underrepresented populations. I absolutely love hockey. I still am a part of it. The first best job is being an athlete, a full-time professional athlete, and the second one is being a hockey coach, or maybe a pro scout, Cam. I'm not sure. But so I obviously, hockey's still given me a lot, even as one of the more underrepresented populations. So I think as we make it more visible, that's going to be a really big indicator. And for me, where I first learned that was actually at Cammi's camp in Chicago. I want to say I was 18 years old. I had just met Cammi and gotten a chance to play with her for the 1 year of residency, and it was an absolute dream. Then I get to meet her whole crazy, awesome family in Chicago as they ran a summer camp for girls, and that was really rare. And it was a huge camp. And the second day, there was a mom that came up to me and said, my young daughter, who was Asian, came up to me last night and said, Mom, there's someone else that looks like me too. And I remember it so clearly. And before that point, I played and I loved it. And I knew we had the responsibility and the honor and opportunity to be role models, but I didn't get it. To be honest, I didn't understand till that moment. So I do think that telling stories is a big step. And then I think proactively going and seeking out organizations to introduce them hockey, introduce different communities that haven't had the access to it, to hockey, and find out ways to be able to get them into the rink, be able to get them to try hockey. And that's a huge first step to breaking down those initial barriers. And then we have to tackle other barriers of accessibility and the costs of hockey as well.
So Cammi originally suggested you to be on this panel, Julie. Now I get it. So there's a couple players right now in the NHL, Nick and Jason Robertson, who are playing pretty well, for especially Jason down in Dallas. And they got into the sport because their uncle and dad had season tickets for an NHL team. So Tamae, I think, being one of our depositors and now season ticket holders, I'm hoping and expecting that our crowd will be more diverse, and it's got to be exciting for you to think about coming to a Kraken game. So, Tamae, excited about the season coming up and attending some games?
Yes, of course. I picked to get almost like a 1,000 round, and so I think I believe I got a really good seat. Yes, it was. I can't wait. So I live in Hockey Town in Japan, and also I live in San Jose, and this is my third place to residence, and I'm the official season ticket holder, which is truly my dream come true. So I can't wait in October to watch the hockey game in Seattle.
Yeah, I think we've talked a lot about it, and we have already hired two broadcasters, John Forsland, nationally renowned and great play-by-play, and Everett Fitzhugh, who comes to us from the East Coast Hockey League, now simply called the ECHL. And we talk a lot about teaching people the game, and I think that's part of what you talk about, Julie, is, just how do we get people to love the sport. So Cammi, before we finish around with everybody, any thoughts from you on just growing the game, and whether it's more Asian faces and certainly female as well?
Yeah, I think we're on the right track. I do see, like here in the Pacific Northwest, living in Vancouver, I do see a lot of Asian players in hockey, both boys and girls, and it's really promising. And there's a lot of great athletes, and I do see them in the NHL. You're seeing more, at least with scouting, I'm noticing there's more diversity than there was, because I've been around the game a long time, just watching. And so that's promising. But I like Julie's story about sort of understanding, like when someone said there's someone that looks like her, that young girl now is inspired, and kind of the whole thing that Billie Jean King has been saying, if you see it, you can be it, right? And I think in Seattle in particular, I'm so excited to watch the growth there. I think the fans and the excitement and just seeing the response to the organization, being a part of Seattle, bringing hockey back, I think the growth in Seattle in hockey, both men, women, diverse, everything will be so fantastic. And I'm so excited to be a part of it. And I really look forward to watching that unfold. Before though I finish, Bob, I wanted to say, first of all, to both Tamae and Julie. So Tamae, I will say the one story I always tell, I've told it when I've done a bunch of public speaking. One of my favorite stories from Nagano was sitting in the cafeteria watching your team play, because they had, and when you go to the Olympic cafeteria with all these athletes from all over, you're just in awe anyway, like looking at all these athletes that you've seen on TV, and you're sitting in this cafeteria. And anyway, the game was up on the big screen, and we were sitting watching, and you guys hadn't scored a goal yet. Your team had not scored a goal in the Olympics yet. And so your team scored the first goal in that game when I was watching, and the whole bench came out, jumped on, it was your gold medal like moment almost, it seemed like, for your team. Jumped on the pile, and I don't remember whose name, and maybe you do, who scored the goal, but when she got up, skated to the bench, they had the camera on her, and you could just see this tear coming down her eyes. Like, she was so proud, and she had scored a goal in the Olympics, and your team was so proud. And that was one of my favorite gold medal, or my favorite Nagano memories. So it is an honor to like meet you this many years later and know we can see each other and talk about it. I was at the same tournament you were in in 90, the first world championship. So it's so cool to be able to see you. And I just want to say, like, I have the utmost respect for your team, and you were one of my favorite you were my favorite team to root for, to be honest. Like, I really mean that with everything. And I hold Japan in such high regard. So you guys as a team, and just the whole city and the country, how gracious they were. So wanted to say that. And then Julie, I will say, if she's one of the greatest people on earth. She's like the consummate team player. I had her as like this little sister. We hang out all the time in the dorms when we were stuck in Lake Placid doing, with nothing to do. And we grew as, best buddies on the team, and I adore her, but it's her character that speaks the most. And it's so fun to watch her now be a mom, and now can bring that to her children and to her daughters. And so I just want to say she's an amazing person as well as a hockey player. So all of her accomplishments, it's her character that I would say is like beyond all that.
Someone's cutting onions around me. It's a little misty-eyed over here, Cammi.
It's true, though.
I can't top that. So Julie and Tamae, if there's any closing words, and clearly Cammi has been so eloquent here. I'm going to try to keep quiet. But Julie, anything you'd like to sign off with?
Absolutely. I think one of the biggest things is being a player isn't the only way to be involved in hockey too. I think that's what's also really important, is that we can bring diversity for those that want to actually play the sport, which we really love to do. And hopefully everyone wants to play, because that's bonus. But if not, you can still be in hockey and love hockey in the media realm, within the administrative side, within all these different avenues, to be able to still progress within careers or volunteer at youth levels. And that's what's really important. And what we're trying to also teach is diversity comes from not only being players, but what are our volunteers, what are our parents, what are different people involved at different levels, what can they bring within the game to make it inclusive, to make it fun, engaging, and valued. And that's a really important part. And so that's where I think about when diversity and inclusion is I come from the player's perspective and now the coach's side, but I'll soon be hopefully maybe the crazy mom side. We'll see about that. But I think it's knowing there's lots of layers to it. So we can create that by seeking out individuals in a lot of different positions. And I do believe the Seattle Kraken, from everything I've heard and been reading about, have been doing an incredible job of that in building that within the fabric of who your organization is. So that's really special. And to Tamae and to Cammi, so honored to be here. This is a really special moment for me. I hope I make it out to Seattle at some point with our family.
We'll be getting you here, Julie. You are coming.
Yeah, a big hug. We'll get a big hug.
We're bringing you out to Seattle for a visit for sure. And
we'd love that. But really blessed and grateful for this conversation. And I feel inspired. It might be, I'm not even sure how long this has been, but I think the more I can surround myself with really inspiring, great individuals and great people, that's what makes a difference to me.
Thank you, Julie. And when you get out here, look us up. We'll make sure we get some swag for those girls. Maybe they need the mini stick and the ball, just like our first seat holders. So Tamae, you get to finish our discussion here. Anything you'd like to add? And I know you feel pretty honored to be on the phone or the Zoom here with Cammi and Julie.
Cammi and Julie, so you are my hero, as I'm a hockey player, as a woman, and so that is, I didn't know how much you can be a highest level play, women can do the play, ice hockey. So that is to the confidence is to, women can do this much, this level. So, and, as a Japanese woman, so in my country, it's still, it's very hard to express about yourself. So that's why I believe I play hockey, because people more recognize your effort. So that's why I still play, not very much like I used to be. So made me confidence. That's why now I'm a designer and I have my different type of job, but it's, to me, this is hockey made me. So that's how I feel. So that's really important to how to back to this, society, to the people more, the confidence, play the hockey, especially because I love hockey and hockey is amazing sports. And I'm so glad I found something I love. So, and then right now, actually in Seattle, Julie, please visit Seattle. So now, and anywhere you go, people have a Kraken, like a jersey and also the baseball cap. Yesterday, I was in the FedEx office and someone tried to send in the baseball cap to family in actually the Boston. I talked to her because I have a Kraken, this little phone, the wallet here, and we started conversation. So, you too.
Hey, I need one. I need one of those.
This is really convenient. You can have like a 4-5 cutting.
Cool.
Super convenient. So that's now it's in Seattle. People just excited to the hockey is coming our town. So that is amazing moment to be in here right now, because before started. But this is gonna be amazing. So Julie, we can't wait to see you in Seattle.
Sounds like a plan. I like this.
We'll get Cammi here too, I think. I think that's going to happen. Thank you all. Thank you, Cammi Granato, Julie Chu, Tamae Satsu, all hockey players, all incredible women, all showing us the way that hockey is a game that we can fall in love with and certainly stay in love with. I stay and always stay in love with. I'm Bob Condor, editor-in-chief of the Kraken. Privileged, really privileged to be here with these three incredible women. We'll see you next time. And again, when we think about our stories and we think about the stories of Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders during this Heritage Month, our stories really are your stories. And we want people to feel that this conversation is something that they can think about, talk to others about, certainly connect with us here at the Kraken about. We want to cover our hockey team, but we also will be covering and of the community. So thanks all, and appreciate the time from all three of you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.